This is the third episode titled Fairness and Equality of Women and Men in Endorsements and Advertising. This episode focuses on whether or not women and men athletes are endorsed with the same amount of money and why a shift has occurred from using just men to endorse products. In the upcoming London 2012 Olympics, there will be a plethora of famous and professional athletes that are competing as Olympians, who have an advantage over other less-known athletes because they are backed by major endorsements. These endorsements allow them to not only have the most up-to-date gear, but it also provides them with a fan base because they often have huge magazine and billboard ads that are seen around the world. Female athletes were never endorsed in the past because they were not seen as real athletes. They have always been seen as mothers and housewives. The first woman to win 4 medals in single Olympic Games was Fanny Blankers-Koen, known as the Flying Housewife at the 1948 Olympic Games in London. She is referred to as the Flying Housewife because she was not only a runner, but also a wife and a mother of 2 at the time when she was competing. Even though she won the most medals at the Olympics, she could not solely identify herself as an athlete. She had to be considered as a housewife to appeal to mainstream society. This exemplifies that the housewife persona was still a very important and tactical ploy used by the media in order to get the public in support of Cohen. The lifestyle of a housewife was really taken off at this time, and the fact that she did have children made her appeal to other housewives and women. It is very interesting to point out that even though Cohen had immense success in those games, she never received any endorsements or made monetary profit from her successful career. Women first started landing endorsement deals after the 1996 Summer Olympics, where the US women's national soccer team defeated China in front of a sold-out crowd at the Rose Bowl. Superstars from the squad like Mia Hamm and Brandi Chastain then chose to choose their celebrity status to leap into endorsement opportunities. Before these games, however, advertisers feared that consumers would view athletes as overly masculine and react negatively to a female athlete endorsing a product. So instead, advertising industries used female models to portray female athletes instead of the athletes themselves because they did not want to allegedly scare the customer away with a muscular athletic female. One might then ask, why did this change occur? It occurred because after those summer games, corporate executives inside and outside the sporting industry no longer claimed to stereotype females as sexual objects and homemakers. They realised that they should target females in the advertising because women made up 80% of all purchasing decisions, so they became the target demographic. Even though these soccer athletes were receiving endorsements, they were still expected to objectify themselves if they wanted to make a profit. This picture of Brandi Chastain, followed by numerous other pictures of very successful female athletes, show that in order for them to be endorsed, they are still expected to be sex symbols as well as professional athletes. For females, being a successful athlete is not enough. If you want to be endorsed, then you have to be seen as beautiful by society too. These female athletes are expected to look like supermodels as well as bring home the gold for their countries.
Men and women athletes are also held to a different standard. Men are not forced to objectify or hypersexualize themselves in order to be seen as a serious athlete. This Sports Illustrated cover of Michael Phelps shows him as a professional swimmer, not the sex symbol he's sometimes considered as by mainstream society. By having just his head above the water and the rest of his body submerged underwater reflects how society already perceives him as a top-ranked athlete, and he has no need to objectify himself in order to prove his self-worth. Another example of the gender disparities that are occurring within commercials is Powerade's 2012 Power Through ad. The commercial focuses on 3 athletes, and only one of the 3 athletes is female. Powerade could have easily just had one male and one female in the commercial, but they instead wanted to showcase that males have more dominance in the Olympic Games. This commercial reaffirms that endorsements and ads are still not equal between male and females. This concludes this episode on the disparities between male and female athletes when it comes to endorsements and sponsors. Next week, we will be discussing archery and the gender ramifications that are associated within the sport.